Hey, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Swetland Seminar Series. We're glad you could join us today. My name is Linnea Webb. I'm a research associate here at the Swetland Center for Environmental Health. If you're not familiar with the Swetland Center, the late 1950s, David W. Swetland and Mary Ann Swetland felt that not enough was understood about the unintended health consequences of chemical, agricultural, and industrial products in our environment. And so they focused the Mary Ann Swetland Professorship of Environmental Health Sciences on preventative medicine and the threats of man-made environmental hazards so that all graduating doctors would have an interest in and understanding of the impact of the environment on human health. Today, the Swetland Center continues Mary Ann Swetland's legacy by building partnerships to find and scale solutions to redress the environment's disparate impact on low-resource populations in Cleveland and beyond. As research continues to demonstrate the vital connection between the environment and health, the center is positioned to respond. Our mission is to study the complex interplay between environmental determinants and population health outcomes. And we place special emphasis on community-engaged approaches that address the role of structural racism in creating and sustaining environmental health inequities. And we seek to translate these findings into policies, practices, and relationships that promote community and population health equity. So we're glad you guys are joining us today. Please share your name and organization you represent in the chat box so we can hear where folks are joining from. And as I mentioned, this is our mission and vision and our key areas of focus over here on the right. We're also committed to racial justice, inclusivity, innovation, collaboration, and we're very community engaged in all of the work that we do at the Swetland Center. So we have a few upcoming events in the Swetland Seminar Series. The next 2 months we have seminars. So the next one will be Tuesday, March 18th, analyzing soil contamination after major combustion events. And Dr. Myron Lard Jr. is going to present their study focused on the analyses of soil samples collected within a 2-mile radius of the Norfolk Southern train derailment, which happened in February of 2023 in East Palestine, Ohio. To assess the presence of and concentration levels of environmentally persistent free radicals and dioxins, furans, which are 2 harmful byproducts of combustion processes. So we're excited for Dr. Lard Jr. to join us that day. The registration I will put in the chat, and I'll email this out to everyone else later after the webinar. And April 15th, we have another seminar, Harnessing the Power of Constructive Conflict Among Community Institutional Partnerships. This is going to be an in-person only workshop led by Michael Walton and our director, Dr. Darcy Freedman. So this will be April 15th from 9 to 11 at our new office, the Institute for Population and Community Health at Midtown Collaboration Center. Again, it's in person only. It's going to be a really engaging workshop to identify how conflict can be productive to innovate solutions through community institutional partnerships, apply tools for preventing and treating destructive conflict in community institutional partnerships, and then also identifying core features of a relationship building and conflict management approach relevant for unique projects among workshop participants. We encourage you to participate with your team, and we're going to have coffee, fruit, and pastries provided. You can register at this link. I'll also put that in the chat. And we're excited to invite people to our new office to hope you can join us for that seminar as well. I will turn it over to our director, Dr. Darcy Freedman.
Thank you, Linnea, and welcome everybody. We will get working on the chat feature in a minute to make sure everybody can introduce themselves. But before we jump into our presentation today, our panel, I wanted to introduce our amazing speakers. First of all, we have Traci Singree, who's passionate about all things local food and loves connecting farmers with their community. As the market operations manager for the Cuyahoga Valley Farmers Market, she keeps things running smoothly and makes sure everyone has a great market experience. She's a big supporter of sustainable agriculture and believes in the power of local food systems. Traci's friendly and approachable, and she's always happy to chat with vendors, volunteers, and market goers. Traci also implemented Produce Path at the Cuyahoga Valley Farmers Market as part of the Swetland Center's implementation study in 2004 through our partnership with the Ohio SNAP-Ed program evaluation. Secondly, we have Dr. Owusua Yamoah, who's a research scientist and community engaged research lead in the Swetland Center. She received her PhD in spatially integrated social sciences from the University of Toledo and a master's in urban studies from Minnesota State University and a bachelor's in development planning at the University of Science and Technology in Ghana. Dr. Yamoah's work is primarily focused on using community engaged approaches to leverage the lived experiences of low resource communities to inform policy, system, and environmental changes necessary for reducing health disparities. For the past 3 years, Dr. Yamoah has been supporting the development, piloting, and implementation of the Produce Path customer portal app. She led the team in designing and feature preferences from SNAP users and farmers market managers in the initial stages of the app design process. Dr. Yamoah is currently leading the second round of implementation of the app in Ohio, and she's a co-investigator on our SNAP-Ed evaluation grant that is supporting the expansion of this work. And lastly, Katie Poppy is a research associate and project manager of community nutrition projects at the Swetland Center. She graduated from Miami University in Ohio with a bachelor's degree in nutrition and received her Master of Public Health degree from the Ohio State University. Katie is a registered dietitian, and prior to working at the Swetland Center, she helped individuals improve their health through one-on-one dietary counseling in outpatient settings in Ohio. At the Swetland Center, Katie has helped lead a wide variety of projects, and for the past 2 years, she has supported the development, maintenance, expansion, and implementation of both the Produce Path Manager portal and the Customer Portal. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Katie, who's going to start our panel discussion.
Thanks, Darcy. And I know we also have a poll that I think we wanted to get started today. So Linnea is going to share that so that we can see a little bit about who we have with us here today. So I'll give everyone just a couple of moments to respond to the poll. All right, 10 more seconds and then we'll end the poll and take a peek at the results. All right. Awesome. So as you can see, we were asking and wanting to see how many of you have experienced shopping at farmers markets in the past year. And it really looks like some folks on the call know, but it looks like most of us at least once, and some up to 6 or more times. So that's really awesome. And if you can't tell, we're going to be talking about farmers markets a lot today. So thanks, everyone. All right. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to get started. All right. And before I dive into my presentation, I'm going to keep the questions coming. I have a few more questions for everyone today. So all of the questions that I'm going to ask, I'll put on the screen here. They will be yes or no questions. And if the answer is yes, just give some indication that that applies to you, that the answer is yes. You can raise your hand. You can give me a thumbs up. So I'll walk through these and give everyone a chance to participate. I don't know. I know we're in a webinar format, so I'm not sure. Yeah, okay, I can see some raised hands. Awesome. So have you ever wondered what vendors will be at the farmer's market prior to your visit? I see lots of raised hands. Cool. All right. Next question. Have you ever wanted to identify what farmers markets have events in your area? All right, lots of raised hands again. Wonderful. All right. Have you ever wished you came to the farmer's market with a shopping list so you don't go home with too many tomatoes or, whatever you buy at the farmer's market? Okay, lots of raised hands again. And last question, have you ever wanted to get ideas for cooking with foods that you are buying at the farmer's market once you bring everything home? Even more raised hands for that one. Great. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everyone for participating. So these questions here that I have on the screen are a few of the things that if you answered yes, the Produce Path customer portal app could address them. These are all kind of the reasons why we created this app. So I'll share a walkthrough of this app that we're talking about today and show you kind of how it does all these things in a moment. But first, I'm going to start by sharing a little bit of background on kind of how the app came to be. So, starting to talk about how this idea came about. So, going into this project, one thing we already knew was that monetary nutrition incentive programs reduce fruit and vegetable costs. And if you're on this call and you're not familiar with what I mean when I say nutrition incentive programs, these are programs that, they vary across the country depending on where you are, but it's essentially a system that provides financial assistance or like extra food dollars to low resource individuals, typically through like a discount or a coupon to encourage them to purchase more fruits and vegetables. So these nutrition incentive programs thus kind of address cost barriers to purchasing fruits and vegetables and improve access to fruits and vegetables as well, and improve fruit and vegetable intake. So fruit and vegetable nutrition incentive programs address several barriers. So this is great. However, one thing that our center was seeing in our research in Ohio is that there's actually a lack of awareness of these nutrition incentive programs that is limiting their use among those who might benefit from using them. So our center actually conducted a study and several years ago, and we found that 55% of SNAP recipients with access to these nutrition incentive programs were not using them. And then of these 55% of the people who weren't using the program, over 80% were, one, unaware they existed, and 77% said they would use the program once they learned about it. So we really have this awareness gap. And we were wondering, what can we do about that? So one last thing that our team kind of knew at this time from the literature was that mobile applications had been used as a solution for other problems like improving fruit and vegetable consumption, improving WIC redemption rates, which are just a couple of examples. So we thought, could a mobile application be a solution to increase awareness of nutrition incentive programming? So I'll kind of walk through. I'm not going to go through every detail on this slide, and you'll have a chance to hear from panelists later on and Owusua who can share some more details about the development process of our mobile app and our approach to it. But I'll just share at a high level that after we identified a potential solution to this awareness gap, this mobile app, we first started reaching out to app developer to help us develop prototypes of the app. We then got feedback from our partners and those who would eventually be using the app, farmers market managers, and our target app user, which would be SNAP recipients with children, which was a particularly high need kind of subpopulation that we focused on when we were collecting feedback and developing the app. At the same time, we were interviewing SNAP recipients with families about their experiences with farmers markets, their experiences shopping for food, using nutrition incentive programs, and things that they might like to see in an app. So after gathering all this information, we used that to create our first version of the app. We called version 1.0. Then we took this version and we demoed it with, again, those we hope would use the app, farmers market managers, and SNAP recipients, and then use this feedback to create a version 2.0. We then actually in 2023, we piloted this version 2.0 at a small number of farmers markets in Ohio, both in urban areas and rural areas. And we really just wanted to gather more feedback on how we could further improve the app after like putting it out there kind of in the real world. So then the information we gathered from the pilot was used to update the app to a version 3.0. And this is the version that we're going to be talking about today. We'll talk more about these final two pieces later on, but we did implement this current version last season in Ohio, and then we do have more plans to scale the app more in this upcoming year. So if you can probably already tell just from me walking through that diagram that there were a lot of people involved in the development of this app and the implementation of the app. So again, I mentioned we relied on app developers to create and maintain the app itself. We were supported at every stage by our partners at Ohio SNAP Ed and Produce Perks Midwest. And if you're not familiar, Produce Perks Midwest is a nonprofit organization that manages several of Ohio's nutrition incentive programs and much more. And they provide, our partners provided financial support, feedback along the way, recruitment support, and so much more. And then at the center was those who would be using the app. So SNAP recipients, again, we focused on getting feedback from SNAP users with children, and then farmers market managers who would potentially be using the app. So they were at the center and we got feedback from them at every stage. And this is who we're involving in the implementation of the app. So in summary, if you don't remember anything I shared on the last 3 slides, kind of in a nutshell, Produce Path is an app designed through a collaborative, iterative, and community-engaged development process that encourages the integration of farmers markets into the food shopping routines of SNAP recipients with the ultimate goal to increase nutrition incentive use and fruit and vegetable consumption. So a couple of final things I want to share before I walk through the app is that will hopefully provide clarity as our panelists answer questions and we continue walking through everything, is that the customer-facing app that we're talking about today is actually built off of a pre-existing software that we already had available in our center. So we had an existing software, which is called the Produce Path Manager Portal. It was formerly called FM Tracks. Some of you may be familiar with that name. And this technology helps farmers market managers track market transactions. So I'm saying this just to share that the Produce Path Customer Portal app that we're going to be talking about a lot today is part of a technology that actually has 2 distinct interfaces. So we have Produce Path, which has a public-facing portal for customers, the customer portal, and a portal for admin or manager users called the manager portal. And then I'll just add one additional piece here, that the manager portal is where market managers would go to both track their market transactions, and if they're using the customer portal at their market, that's where they would go to make updates to their market profile that kind of displays publicly on that customer portal. I hope that helps provide clarity, and hopefully that'll help things kind of make more sense as we're talking through. So just keeping in mind throughout this panel presentation, when we're talking about the development of Produce Path, implementing Produce Path, we're really talking about that public-facing customer portal. One final thing I want to add here too, that's a kind of a frequently asked question, is that while we did develop the app with our target audience in mind, so SNAP recipients with children, the app can ultimately be used by anyone who wants to use it in the areas where we're implementing it. So just wanted to put that out there because I know that's a frequently asked question. The app is for anyone. Okay, so I'm going to briefly walk through what the app looks like and what it can do. So feel free, I have a QR code on the slide here. Feel free to use that. It'll actually navigate you to producepath.org. And there are links on that page to both the App Store and the Google Play Store to download the app. You can also just use your web browser as well. So if you're interested in creating an account, feel free to create a customer portal account and log in and poke around. Just note that we've only implemented the app in Northeast Ohio. So if you're somewhere else around the country, you would just want to navigate to that area so you'd be able to like take a peek at what the markets look like. So I'll just kind of walk through a few of the features. So Produce Path has the ability, users can search for markets that are nearby. They can search by the name of the market, they can search by their location, and they can view the results of the search in a list view. They can review them in a map view and kind of navigate around and view the markets show up as little bubbles on the screen. And then users can click on the market either in this list view or in the map view to navigate to the profile of the farmer's market. This is a little bit social media-esque in that each market has their own profile page. So once a user navigates to that page, they can view the address and directions. So they can click and actually be navigated to like Google Maps or Apple Maps to find the market. There is information like the website and social media links for the market as well. There are the hours of operation and incentives offered and some additional information. This profile page has 5 different tabs. So we're in the overview tab here, and I'll walk through the rest of the tabs. So the next tab is this post tab. So users can see updates directly from the farmer's market manager. So you can see that on the profile page, there's kind of like a news feed where anyone can come on here and just see like what the market's been posting recently. Users can click on the messages and of course read the full message and see an image. Something else that's really neat is that users can actually on the profile page subscribe to the market and receive emails so they get notifications when the market posts, which is really great because the market can kind of directly communicate real-time updates to potential customers of their farmers market. We also have an inventory tab. So the farmer's market can actually customize this list of likely available inventory, and users can take a look what might be available, what might be limited, and then actually add items from this inventory list to their shopping cart. We also, again, users can create a grocery list and they can see what they put in their grocery list. They can change the quantity, they can use it at the market and check things off. There's also a vendors tab, so users can see what vendors might likely be at the market that week. They can also filter and see vendors that accept SNAP, vendors that sell fruits and vegetables. They can click on the vendors and the market manager can, if they want, add additional information like an Instagram handle or link, for example, so the user can learn more information about that particular vendor directly from the app. And then the last tab is events. So market managers can list their upcoming events and users can see when the event will be, information about the event, and then even add that event to their personal calendar as well. Finally, we also have a recipes feature. So like I shared, we partner closely with Ohio SNAP Ed, and we actually link our recipes feature in the app to the social marketing campaign in Ohio, which is called Celebrate Your Plate. And we link to their recipes page, which has a really extensive library of recipes. You can really filter the results really well. And the website also has other information about cooking skills and shopping tips and a lot of other really great information. So we actually link to this to Celebrate Your Plate within the app. And then lastly, Produce Path is available in Spanish. So users can go to their account and click on Spanish and then view the app in Spanish. And I'll also note too that not only is like the static text within the app in Spanish, but market managers can translate their text, like their market posts and their event descriptions and things like that into Spanish as well. So we're really excited about this. All right, so lastly, before we get into our panel questions, I'll just share how we've implemented the app so far. So like I said, so far we've only implemented the app in Ohio. And in 2024, so last market season, we actually deployed the app at 12 markets in Ohio. So if you were to go into the Produce Path app right now, you would see about 12 markets on the map in Northeast Ohio. And then, of course, this implementation is really made possible through our continued partnership with Ohio Snap Ed, Produce Perks Midwest, and also a REACH grant in Ohio. The panel will talk more about the implementation of the app. But what it means when I say implemented the app is that we engaged with farmers market managers who agreed to actually update the information about their markets in the app and take this on. And then we also brought on community members and also even some Snap Ed staff to help us share about the app in the community and let people know about it. So that's all I have. There's really so much more to hear from all of our panelists about all of this. So I will stop sharing and pass it to Darcy.
Great. Thank you so much, Katie. And I think that the style of the panelists approach is now going to give you a chance to hear about the app and its experience from various perspectives. So I'm going to start off with Owusua. Can you share how your team engaged the community and partners in developing the Produce Path customer portal?
Thank you, Darcy, and thanks, Katie. So one thing that I want to highlight here is that our approach was centered on what we call the human-centered design theory, and what that is a community engaged framework for technology development that uses the users that we are planning the tool for to help create buy-in, trust, and as well as usage of the tool among those target population. And so for us, what that looked like was making sure that our end users, which were for us SNAP consumers with children and our farmers markets and our farmers market managers were at the center of these engagements, right from the design process through the piloting of the app. So what did that look like? We conducted 3 different phases of data collection. And for each of these phases, it included interviews, in-depth interviews with SNAP consumers, in-depth interviews with farmers market managers. And for the first round, we had like these 2 different prototypes that we shared with them and had an interview guide that was designed to really get their feedback on what do you want this to look like, since we are designing this for you. And so we did that for the first phase. We're able to select what prototype they wanted. And then we want them to really now hone in on what kind of design features would they want in the app. And for that, we also did another qualitative interviews, engage about 20 SNAP consumers across the entire Ohio, and engage them in these qualitative interviews to really hone in on what they wanted. So those are some of the things that Katie shared about, like, being able to search for your market, vendors, hosts, events. All those are things that were informed by what we heard from the SNAP consumers that we engage with. As far as market managers, again, they are really instrumental in this, right? One of the quotes that we really like to cite with this work is that one of the Snap consumers that this is like Google but better, because they feel like the information is coming from somebody they know, they trust it. They know this is coming directly from the farmers market manager, right? Who knows who updates information on Google? Nobody really knows who it is. And I think that is something that they really like about the work. So we really wanted to engage them to understand, what does this look like for you in your daily work? What would this work for you as a farmers market manager? So their inputs were also obtained. And then the final phase of feedback that we got from them was during the piloting. So once we had designed like the initial tool with all the features that they desired, we implemented in selected markets. And then as part of the pilot, we had a focus group with Snap consumers who actually use the app, and then did some interviews with the farmers market managers. And at each phase, the feedback that we get, we work together with the developer, integrate the feedback, and then go back to our end users for feedback. So definitely very iterative. A lot of time, as you saw from Katie's chat, started from like 2022. Actually, the initial research was prior to 2022. So this definitely has been a long time coming, with series of engagements, consistent, and even now we still gather feedback through our implementation, hearing back from our market managers, our community champion, to make sure that the app is what they want and is addressing the problem that we identified right from the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, Owusua. Definitely sounds like a lot of steps in the process. And Katie, I wanted you to share how community has been engaged in implementing and disseminating the app following all these development stages.
Yeah, sure. So engaging our community was really instrumental in our ability to actually implement the app, both for the pilot study and the implementation study. So first of all, we engaged really closely with the farmers market managers. Of course, as you can see, that information about the market has to be entered and maintained by the market manager. So we provided training on how to do that, and then ongoing technical assistance to help the farmers market managers do that. And something I want to point out here that we discuss as a team frequently is that one thing that we really want to avoid with this app is someone who's in the community using the app getting incorrect information about a farmer's market. Like, for example, if the hours are wrong and they show up at the market when it's not open, we of course want to avoid that. So it's really important that the app is kept accurate and up to date, because not doing this could really do more harm than good, and could erode trust in the users of the app. So to prevent this, like I said, so far in our implementation of the app, we've engaged really heavily with those farmers market managers, so that they can keep everything accurate and up to date. Another way we engaged the community was recruiting community members to promote the app and share the app within their own communities. So we shared in 2023, we did a pilot study. We implemented in urban areas and rural areas, and we found it particularly challenging, especially in the rural areas, to kind of get the word out about the app. So last year for our 2024 implementation, we actually recruited who we called community champions to actually spend time in their community sharing about the app. So they came to the farmers markets where we were implementing the app and shared there. And then also they went to other events in their community that were in the surrounding area of that farmers market. So we found this community champion role to be super valuable. We were able to really get a lot more users and app engagement with their support. And I can share a few more details about this and kind of how it worked, since we did find it so valuable. So like I said, we recruited individuals who lived near the farmers market where they were implementing for these roles, because we wanted these individuals to be familiar with that community. We really, for recruitment, we leaned on the farmers market managers and our partners to help us identify individuals and get the word out. Again, we wanted to ensure we were recruiting people in the area and that had familiarity with farmers markets. And then once we recruited the community champions and they committed to the role, and in our implementation last year, we did bring on one community champion for each market that we implemented the app in. We're doing something a little bit different in our upcoming implementation. But once we brought these individuals onto their role, we trained them on how to use the app, how it worked. We walked them through various expectations and aspects of the role all through Zoom trainings, kind of leading up to the market season. We had regular check-ins throughout the season. And then one final thing is that really thanks to the support of our partners, we were actually able to compensate the community champions financially for their time, which was really awesome. So I might be missing some details, but again, we found the community champions to be really helpful in improving app engagement. So really, to close out my answer, I'll say that we found that this app just really cannot be implemented and scaled without regular engagement with the community, both those farmers market managers and the community champions.
Thank you, Katie. And I think, kind of leaning into, and we've even seen some questions in the chat about the experience of a farmer's market manager with using the app. So Traci, as a market manager at one of our implementing farmers markets where we trialed the app, can you tell us a little bit about your experience using the Produce Path customer portal?
Hi, Darcy. Thanks for having me here. Hello to everyone joining today. My experience with the customer portal app has been great. What I would like to share is that the process that we've heard about from Katie and Owusua is that while lengthy, my hand has been held from day one. I think that we as market managers, we're food access advocates, and this app was a wonderful opportunity for us to get out to those folks and to have a tool at our fingertips to communicate so they knew that we existed and that they could actually come to the market and use their benefits at a farmer's market was wonderful. So I went through the training. It was about an hour and a half, very informative, and really set me up for success. Of course, with new implementations and technology and apps and all those kinds of things, there's bumps. There are. But I was able to reach out to Katie and the team and say, hey, this is where I'm at. I'm stuck, or I need more support. And they were very responsive and supportive in getting me the information I need to keep moving forward. As far as posting and updating my profile, it's very user intuitive. By going into the manager portal, you're able to select your market, and then you have a drop-down menu where you can go in and create your posts and edit those and add your vendors, the vendor's inventory, all the things that Katie spoke to. And I spend about less than an hour a week doing that. And really, you could probably even do 30 minutes. But the great thing that the study group also gave me as a tool, as a market manager, was a PDF of a list long for those of you who maybe are intimidated with social media and marketing and what do I post? What words do I use? The study group gave us a whole PDF. I don't know, I think it's about 10 pages long, from recipes to how to spend their perks, how to create a shopping list, like all the things that I could utilize on my weekly posts in the customer portal. So when the customer came to my portal for my market, there was timely information. I also loved that this app is helping farmers markets stay relevant in that the app, we're able to connect with folks. Everybody has a phone and they can pull that app up um, and find us relatively easy. So that really, I mean, it's been really easy. The learning curve, you just got to get in there and do it with already having the manager portal there for reporting and organization. This is just another, little piece in there of something that I'm already familiar with. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Traci. And I think that idea of, having a tool that allows you to be timely, responsive, and relevant is, what we heard a lot of farmers markets are looking for and a lot of consumers are looking for. That's so much of how we're getting our information today. So Katie, how were you supporting people like Traci, market managers, so that there was comfort using the app? Or if other people were interested in using Produce Path app, what kind of supports do you think are needed?
Yeah, so Traci spoke to a few of these things, but as far as our implementation in Ohio, we provided a few things. So we provided a 90-minute Zoom training, which I know Traci mentioned, where here we kind of provided the opportunity for the market managers to learn about the customer portal. And then we really just walk through step by step exactly how to manage their profile. Again, through the manager portal that some are already somewhat familiar with. But we had this 90-minute Zoom training we offered a few times, and we just asked that our market managers that were participating attend one of those. And then we also provided a suite of how-to guides and videos. Traci mentioned our posting guide, but we also had guides and videos that walk through like each aspect of the app. So like, how do I update my vendor list, for example? Again, all of those from that market manager perspective. For all the market managers who agreed to implement the app at their market, we kind of in the beginning of the process, we have them agree to do a few things during the season. So again, a lot of our support is around like supporting them in doing these things. So we ask that they do an initial profile setup prior to the start of their profile going live on the app. We ask that they update their profile for accuracy at least once a month. They can do it more, but this would mean updating their inventory list, vendor list, ensuring their hours are up to date, adding any upcoming events. And then we ask that our participating market managers post a message at least once a week. Of course, they could post every day if they wanted to, but that's kind of what we ask. So again, to help the managers meet these expectations throughout the season, our team was available to meet with managers one-on-one. We just had like a calendar link where they could set up a short meeting with us whenever they needed. And then we sent out gentle reminders via email regularly throughout the season to the participating market managers to remind them to do these profile updates and post messages. So I might be missing things, but that's at a high level kind of what we provided and what we found worked so far.
Great. Thank you, Katie. So Traci, we had heard earlier about this community champion. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience working with a community champion at your market, and how well do you feel this champion supported spreading the word about the Produce Perks program, the amazing food access resources at your market?
Yeah, sure, Darcy. Um, Again, as market managers, we wear many hats. And one of our hats, is definitely connecting with community. So we were lucky enough to have our community champion come from another agency in our community that we've created a relationship with, which is Let's Grow Akron. So our community champion came from there, and we really value food access. And I wish my assistant could be here today. That is her forte, She kind of mans the information booth and greets all of the food assistance customers that we have come in while I'm kind of out running around. We are an outdoor market during the summer. When this was implemented, we were outdoors and we're in the national park. So I have a pretty big area that I have to manage. I can't always be right under the booth. So my assistant shared a lot of time with our community champion, and we really wanted to make sure that we set them up for success. So we kind of stationed our community champion right beside Emily, who would be assisting all our food assistant um, benefits coming in to exchange their benefits for our market tokens. So that gave our community champion the perfect opportunity to say, I see you're using produce perks today. Do you have the app? And was able to connect with them in real time, help them, get it on their phone, as well as our community champion was able to walk with me, walk the field, talk to customers in line, and talk to them about the produce path. So we had a great experience and a great relationship with our community champion. Again, with our community champion being from a local agency, they were able to connect with a lot of folks that kind of overlapped, and then as well bring new folks into the market environment. Yeah.
Thank you, Tracy. And I see lots of questions coming in. I'm going to do one more question with Owusua, and then I'm going to open it up to the floor, and we'll come back. We have a couple of other questions for our panelists, but I want to make sure we get to those in the audience. So Owusua, of course, this is an amazing opportunity to connect research and practice in an applied way. But at the end of the day, people are saying, well, is this worth it? Did this actually work? And so can you tell us a little bit about how the team is evaluating the impact of the Produce Path app?
All right, thank you so much, Darcy. So far there are three main sources of data that we are using when we think about evaluation. So first, we are looking at our surveys. So during the 2024 implementation season, we did conduct repeated surveys with SNAP consumers who use the app during the season. Again, of course, given the goal, we want to know, is this really working? How is the app either resulting in an increase in the use of farmers market? Is it resulting in an increase in fruits and vegetable purchase and consumption? And whether it's resulting in increase in nutrition incentive use at the farmers market. So in those surveys, so far we found that about 30% of participants indicated that the app helped them shop at farmers market. And by help, being that like it provided them information about the market, hours, vendors, shopping, all those kind of things. Also, the Produce Path app was discussed as an app that increased the number of times that 25% of participants shopped at farmers market. So again, about a quarter of those that use the app did attribute a change in the number of times they are going to a farmers market to the fact that they use the app. In terms of fruits and vegetable consumption, they said that increasing the number of times they went to the market increased the amount of fruits and vegetables that they consumed in about 28% of the participants. And also, among 31% of participants, they said it's increased the amount of fruits and vegetables that they bought. So of course, these are, from the surveys that we did during that time, which we think it's a good indication, but we still need to do more research to really grounding on like exactly how these impacts are working. Another source of data that we have is that all the markets, like Katie mentioned, we already have like a market manager side of this app that have existed for so many years now that markets are able to use to track their SNAP transactions, produce spec incentives that are being redeemed and all that. So we do have market level data to see whether markets that use the app in 2024, how was their transactions compared to previous years? And then we can also compare those markets to other markets that are similar to see whether in 2024, the changes that they observed, were they the same or similar to those markets. So that's also another analysis that we are currently working on. So for each of the markets that participated, we do have data on number of SNAP transactions that occurred during the period where they were using the app. We have data on the dollar amount of SNAP that were used at these markets. We also have data on the dollar amount of nutrition incentive that were distributed at these farmers markets. We are still analyzing the data, but just like mapping out those data, we do see that the intervention markets, we see an increase in their transaction and dollar amounts. Again, we are still doing a lot of analysis to really to really show how much of that change was as a result of the app that they use. And we should have results hopefully by this summer available, and we will definitely send it to you guys once that is available. And I saw in the chat someone was asking about whether we are tracking app adoption. Yes, we are. We do have on the back end, we can see how many accounts are being created. We are able to even see which pages are people clicking on in terms of recipes, what recipes are people interested in. So that's also another form of evaluation that we are looking to do to see adoption rate, who is using the app and how is app usage from when we started using it compared to when they had community champions. And again, even the next implementation, we are adapting a different form of community champions. So we can also see how that changes as far as adaptation over time. So those are really interesting data that we're excited to see how we can use that to show the impact of the app on fruit and vegetable consumption, farmers market use, and nutrition incentive use.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone on the panel. We've got some questions here that we're going to walk through. The first one is from Leah Feingold. She says, I am a market manager. To update my markets, locations, times, etc. I log into the customer side. Is that the same login as my manager login?
I can take this one. So that's a really good question. So like I shared, there's like that little diagram where we have produce path and then the customer portal and the manager portal. So the customer side is only for viewing the markets and the market profiles and all the information. Anytime that information is being updated by a market manager, they actually would need to, log out of the customer side, log into the manager portal, and then make all of their updates there. I hope I answered that question, but we do have within the manager portal, in our training, we provide to the market manager where they go to update certain things. And yeah, that's where a market manager would go to make those updates. So I hope I answered your question.
Great, thank you. And a similar, and I'm going to turn this over to Traci. Leah had a question. When this app is scaled, do you maybe as a market manager see it as potentially replacing tools that markets already use for spreading the word, like emails, newsletters, social media, or just supplementing it?
I view it as supplementational to what I'm already doing. It's definitely a value add.
Okay, thank you. And Sherry Boland asked, can you share how much time the community partner had to spend to reach a certain number of people? Essentially, how many people engage with the app due to the community partner outreach, and how much time did it take them to do that? And maybe Owusua, have we looked at that level of analysis?
We haven't looked at that level of analysis, but I can share that during the pilot, we as research staff were working with our partners at OSU SNAP to be at these markets when the markets were open. Of course, we had, I think, 3 or 4 markets. We have one that was down by Columbus. We couldn't be there all the time. People had questions that the market managers could not necessarily answer all of it. So the whole idea of community champion actually came out of the feedback that we got from the pilot. The market manager said it would be nice to have somebody here that could answer some of the questions, that could help people download the app if they need help with that. Because I'm busy. I mean, I understand how this works. I can support in some way, but there's no way I can answer every customer who has questions about this app. So in the implementation study last year, what we did was that each market had a community champion. The community champion had to devote 4 hours a week 2 hours of those was supposed to be spent at the market when the market will open. They had a station that they could table at. We also provide them with some souvenirs. So we had some bags, we have some OSU Snap Ed recipes, calendar. So we had things for them to give away to people to kind of help them in starting conversations in the market. And they went there every week for, I think we had about 12 weeks of that going on. And then they had to fill out like weekly checkout forms with us to tell us like how many people they were engaging, what kind of questions they were getting, if they needed additional flyers. So we had some of those things set up. So we do have data to show like how many people they are talking to. What we learned is that over time, they felt like they were seeing the same people and talking to the same people. So this next round that we are doing, we're encouraging them to go to at community events, which some of the community champions did that last year, and they said it was really nice. Some went to food pantries, some went to like a touch a track event in their community. So places that they felt they would meet families with children. So this year we are integrating that, having them go to the farmers market about one week in the month, and then the other times trying to identify different events to be at, to draw adults who do not come to the market attention to the idea that there is a farmers market, and then the app could support them. So yeah, we could look into those surveys that they did to see how many people they were talking to. But definitely it was helpful given our experience from the pilots and how many people were able to get to use the app. We definitely see that the community champions were really the kind of the support that helped that get to where we got to with the implementation.
Thank you, Owusua. And I think we have time for one last question before we wrap up. And I'm going to turn this over to Traci. You talked a little bit about your experience using the app, but if you were talking to another market manager, there's questions in here like how much time did it take for updating, posting, keeping current? How would you sell this to them as sort of the value add for their market?
Sure. Thanks, Darcy. I would speak to all of the farmers market peers that I know. And just it's relatable. As farmers market managers, we wear many hats, and a lot of times we are doing things with very little support or having to create our own marketing, our own outreach. And so this is really just a valuable tool for reaching community that we might not always have access to. And one of our number one roles, and well, not number one, we've got a lot of number one roles, is, bringing our vendors customers. And what a better customer to bring our vendors than our Produce Path customers. Our Produce Path customers can come and speak to those vendors. Our vendors are so educated about their food. They can really speak to the community and let them know how to make this food, what to add the food with, instead of the community using the Produce Path incentive, just going to a grocery store and standing there and not knowing what fruits and veggies they could buy or how they taste. So we offer a lot of opportunity for the customers utilizing the app as an organization, as a farmer's market, to be there for them and helping this community know that we are advocates for them to get fresh fruits and vegetables. Plus, I've got 33 subscribers to my Produce Path app, and it is really relatively easy for me. Once I had the training and the support, I've just kind of slid it right into my social media workflow for the week. So when I'm updating my social media platforms, when I'm sending my newsletters out, it's just on my list. It's just right in rotation for me to get in there. Because again, our customers, we need to create trust. And creating trust through the app is really easy to do. You're just updating your once a week or even more if you like. But my biggest sell to another farmers market manager is just do it. This is a community that needs us, and we're here to educate and to be inclusive and surround everybody with fresh food. And again, our vendors are the perfect people for them to shop from, to get that education they need on eating healthy.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much to Katie, Traci, and Owusua. And this was an amazing presentation. After this meeting, I know Linnea will be sending out a recording and a link to the slides from our presentation from today, as well as any information about our upcoming seminars. We really appreciate you all being here today, and we look forward to seeing you in a month on March 18 for our next seminar. Thank you all.